Alright, today we're doing part 2 of the 670 swap on the dual engine project. Now, I'm not exactly sure what we're calling this vehicle yet. We need to come up with a name for this because we can't keep calling it the dual engine project anymore. But we'll come up with a name later. Now, what we're doing in this video is we're building the trailing arms as well as hopefully getting the rear suspension mocked up. Now, first thing we need to do is we need to build some hubs for the rear tires. right, the hubs for this project are finally done. These things were way easier to build than the ones for the CBR 1000 project. Now, let's talk about the gearing for a little bit. Let's talk about why these sprockets are so small. Now, I was going to just guess at the gearing like I do with every project that I build, and it always turns out to be wrong. We always have to change it later. But for me, it's faster just to guess at it than to try to calculate stuff because I suck at math. But halfway through part 1 of this project, I realized that we actually have a go-kart that we can reference the gearing off of. We have the red 2-speed go-kart, which we've already messed with the gearing on that vehicle. We already dialed it in. Works great on that vehicle, and that has the same engine, same tire size, and similar size frames and all that kind of stuff with this vehicle. So all you have to do is calculate that gearing on the red 2-speed go-kart and try to match it for this go-kart. Now, I calculated the gearing between the rear tire and the secondary pulley on the CVT, and anytime the rear tire spun once, the secondary pulley spun 6 1/4 times in high range and 9.5 times in low range. And that gearing was pretty good. High range was pretty fast, and low range was slow and torquey and all that kind of stuff we want with low range. Now, when I was planning on building this project and buying things that I know that I need for this project, I bought some sprockets that I thought was gonna be good gearing for this, and I calculated the gearing that I was gonna do for this vehicle with these sprockets, before realizing that we can reference the red 2-speed go-karts, and high range was going to be 9.3 to 1 and low range was going to be 18.5 to 1. So I'm really glad I calculated the gearing this time, because that gearing is super wrong. Low range was going to be like snail slow, and high range was going to feel like low range on the red 2-speed go-kart. So after seeing this, I recalculated it to this gearing that we're doing now, and this gearing is now high range is going to be 5.2 to 1, and low range is 10 to 1. So high range on this vehicle is going to be a little bit faster than it was on the red 2-speed go-kart, and then low range is going to be just a little bit slower than it was on the red 2-speed go-kart. So I think that gearing's pretty good. If we have to dial it in a little bit more due to the frame, this frame being a little bit bigger, we can dial it in later if we need to. Now, the benefit of also having these sprockets super small is we're not going to have the issue like how we have on the CBR 1000, where these are kind of close to the ground and they're kind of, you know, potential danger of them getting hit by rocks. So that's a bonus of having these super small. So anyway, let's start working on assembling these on the rear tires. Let's try to figure out where the rear tires are going to be and start working on building the trailing arms for this thing. So I've been trying to figure out, how do I build these trailing arms? Originally I was going to do it like the CBR 1000, where these tubes go up to this bearing and these tubes go up to this bearing, but with the way the chain is, these tubes would have to go this one would have to go up and over the chain. This one's going to have to bend down. It's going to be a lot of bending, a lot of geometry, which is a little complicated and I hate doing that stuff. But then I had a better idea of possibly doing this, which would be different, and I think would look a little bit cooler. So let's try that. So I definitely like the look of this versus how I did it for the CBR 1000. This looks a little bit more stylized and a little bit cooler than just how I, for the other project. So now we're definitely not done with these. We still need to add the cross bracing to strengthen these, as well as we need to figure out how we're mounting the shocks on here. As far as the shocks, I'm a little tempted just to use the ones that were originally on here, but obviously just having one for each trailing arm is not going to be strong enough because we now have to support the weight of the engine on the main chassis. But I do have 4 of these, so we could double these up for each trailing arm and have 4 of them for the whole rear suspension. Or I do have 4 of these. Paul, the guy that gave us all those Polaris parts for the rock crawler build, he also gave us 4 of these. These have a lot longer of suspension travel, but they have a lot thinner of a spring. But they're longer, so they can be further out on the trailing arm. So I don't know. I'm more tempted to use the red ones because those were the ones that were originally on here. So we may just try the red ones and see if we can get those to work. And if we can't, then the other ones I think will work. So now, next video of this project, we get to finalize the trailing arms, we get to get the engine finally installed, as well as suspension, and then we get to start working on finalizing and finishing the rest of the frame on here. So anyway, that's gonna have to be for next video of this project, but for now, I gotta end this video here. Thank y'all for watching. I'll see ya in the next video. That was a weird noise. That was a very weird noise starting up the lathe. I am not sure what that was. But it's working now. That was very weird. Okay, let's just, I don't know. Oh, that's not good. Oh, that's not good. Yep, that just fell on the ground. What just happened? I just lost hydraulic pressure. Yeah, this thing just lost hydraulic pressure, and now it's stuck. What the heck just happened? Did I just... Oh! Whoa! Something happened. I'm not really sure what, but... yeah, something happened with this thing. I have no idea what that was, but it's now fixed and it seems to be working now. So let's just continue